Good morning. This is the 52 Weeks to Wealth. We're discussing the 52 millionaire wealth principles. These are wealth principles that will make you a millionaire over the next 52 weeks if you implement them 1 week at a time. We're on wealth principle 25, the power of outsourcing. The book of the week is A Whole New Mind. It talks about why you want to start looking at your business differently, why it's the conceptual business. We're in a conceptual age. We're no longer in the Stone Age. We're no longer in the industrial age. And we're coming out of what's been called the service era. And so we're moving into something called the conceptual age. And in conceptual age, we actually don't sell the same toaster that works amazing. We sell a toaster that makes you feel good and also has to work as a requirement. Notice when you look at the toaster in your house, it is likely stainless steel to match your stainless steel fridge. Or if you have children, it's got a smiley face on the toaster to make the kids feel good about putting toast in the toaster. There's a whole different way that the world is selling you products now. Your trash barrel no longer is just a place to receive trash. It's a piece of art in your kitchen. This making sense? We live in a whole new world, and in order to survive and succeed and thrive in this world, you have to have a whole new mind. And that is the principle behind the book. And then they talk about something called outsourcing, getting things done by other people at a lower cost than what you could do here in America or do yourself. And so we're going to talk a lot about outsourcing. We're going to talk about outsourcing to other countries. We're going to talk about outsourcing to other companies. We're going to talk about outsourcing to family members, because outsourcing is outsourcing, getting it away from you and sourcing it to other people. Does that make sense? There's another way to refer to outsourcing as delegation, getting other people to do the stuff that you're not good at, or getting other people to do the stuff that takes your time away from doing the one thing that's going to move you forward. There's a book called The One Thing by Gary Keller, and he says, the focus question is, what is the one thing such that by doing it, everything else is easier or unnecessary? And you can ask Serena, if I say this just once in a day, I would be shocked. If I go just one time in the day and I say this out loud, yeah, it would shock me. I go multiple times where I'm saying, okay, what is the one thing I could do right now to put a smile on her face? What is the one thing I could do right now to make sure that tomorrow's event is better? What is the one thing I could do right now that would make sure that I never forget a lighter for my cigars ever again? And it's throughout the entire day. What is the one thing that I can do that will move my business forward, that'll really crank the needle forward so that more is getting done? I'm serving more people. What is the one thing I can do that will make 100 millionaires an easier, faster, more efficient, guaranteed task? What is the one thing I can do that will make sure that our students are getting to becoming the 100 millionaires faster? Does this make sense? So the one thing is key. It comes up a lot. I also spent some money this weekend, and my mentorship members saw this a little earlier. It was kind of hot in here, and so decided to fan myself. Anybody else getting hot? Wish you had a nice money fan. I hear you. It's I'm telling you, these hundos way cooler. So this is a cool little prop that I thought was totally worth buying. And what do you think? Does it make sense to cool yourself down with just anything, or a little feng shui, right? Get a little extra stuff. So I bought these. These are $1 million bills, right? Lady Freedom. Some $1 million bills visualize our first 10 millionaire students. So I'll have this up on the wall. I'll be checking this out. And then I got this other one because I genuinely believe that we're in a high inflation market, and we might actually need the $1,000 bill very soon. Who knows if they want to run around with a roll of these things instead of a couple $1,100 bills. 100%. I've had a couple $1,000 in my pocket before, and it's annoying. Like, it's the worst, most uncomfortable feeling to have a wad of cash like this big to say you got $10,000 in your pocket. Does that make sense? Anybody ever do that? Walk around with $10,000 in your pocket just to pump yourself up for a little while? Yes. So, so in sales, so before I dive into the topic, in sales, the first thing I was told to say, this is my first idea of motivation, right? Before I learned about Tony Robbins, before I learned about Tom Ferry, and way before Grant Cardone was introduced to my life, I had my broker in my office said, it wasn't even my broker, it was the trainer who was training me. His name's Johnny Viveris. He's a realtor in the city. And he said, he's like, dude, you cash that first check. This is what you do. You cash that first check and you get it in cash and you roll it up and you put a little elastic band around it and you put that in your pocket and you walk around for a week. And he said, if you don't want to go do that again, then you don't belong in sales. But trust me, you get a couple $1,000s in your pocket and you walk around with that money for a week, you're going to be on fire, lit up with an urge to go and sell more, to help more, to get more people moving across the threshold so that you know that feeling again. Does that make sense? Anybody ever give this a try? Who wants to give this a try? Who knows that might be cool? That might be fun. I agree with you. I agree 100%. Do I have what $10,000 looks like? Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. All right. So this is a representation of $10,000. That's what it looks like. And I know for sure because I have walked out of the bank with these before. There you go. Everybody's got one, huh? So what I did a while back when I was looking to make my first $500,000, I went and I ordered, well, the first step was, okay, here's a secret. Here's something you could do right now. You go to the bank and you ask for $300. 2 are $100 bills. And then the other, it's 300. Yeah, $300. And the other 100 are $1 bills. You take that $1, the $100 band off, you stack them, sandwich them in between, and then you stack that in your house somewhere safe. Not if you got kids, make sure it's a little high, somewhere safe. And it just feels like you got $1,000 sitting there. What I did was each week I went and I committed $300 to this until I had $100,000 sitting in my dresser. Now, yes, it was only $3,000, but $3,000 in cash was the first time I'd actually saved consistently over time $3,000. But it felt way better knowing that it looked like $100,000. Does that make sense? It's cool little tricks like this that get your mind excited to get to the next level, because not all the steps are fun. Not all of the steps to making money are fun like this. And so you got to offset. You got to get some things in your life that will make you more excited about making money. And so what I did eventually, because that became a little bit on the excessive side as I was getting close to the $250,000, I was getting close to the $500,000. It just takes up a lot of freaking space, and it is actually valuable money. And so you start wanting to leave this big pile of money all over your house. And so what I did is I brought it all into the bank. It was one of my saddest days. I brought it all to the bank and I ordered $500,000 of fake money, right? Prop money. So if you Google it, it's prop money. They use it in rap videos. So no, those rappers are not walking around with thousands of dollars in cash. And it cost me $250 to have a representation of $500,000 in my house. Does that sound excessive? Does that seem like something that is a little extreme? It is. I agree. But it's worked. It's worked. My biggest regret in this whole process is to make $1 billion, like to a visualization of $1 billion. I would literally need to fill one of my 3-family homes with, like, from first floor to the attic with these prop dollars, right? They just don't make a bill big enough for this. Does that make sense? Right. Okay. So if you haven't yet saved your first 100,000, let me tell you in the words of Charlie Munger, who is Warren Buffett's business partner, the first 100,000 is a bitch. I promise you, the first 100,000 fucking sucks. It's so hard to make, but it's the same amount of effort as the first million. It's the same amount of effort as the next 5 million. And I'm in the process of working on the next 10 million. So I couldn't tell you quite what it will be until I finish. But so far feels a lot like the same process to make that $100,000. Does that make sense? It's the change. It's just growth. It's setting a new goal and then driving towards it no matter what, and just learning new things, meeting new people, surrounding yourself with people who've already done it, and just moving towards it. This is not a complex process, but it is a process. There is a system to it. And so that is what the mentorship is all about. That's what we're teaching our students. It's what we're teaching our fellow alchemists, the people who've gone through it, the graduates, they're all with us still. If you've graduated, you still show up early. You still show up. We have a little event that we do with our graduates, and we have the mastermind that we're pushing everybody into. The mastermind is expensive. It's extremely expensive. If you've never invested in a mastermind, let me tell you, the mastermind is very expensive. And the reason it's expensive is because we don't want people who aren't serious in it. And you can't get into the mastermind now without going through the mentorship program, which, by the way, is expensive. It's absolutely ridiculous, the amount of money that we charge for the mentorship and the mastermind. If you add it together, it's like, oh my God, I've made a big investment in my life. Yeah, that's the point. You're supposed to make a big investment in your life. You're supposed to take it seriously. And so the mastermind is $2,500 to last for a full year. And then because you become more valuable to me after that full year, because now you have all the knowledge, you can run your own, and you have the ability to go and do the same things we're doing for you in this room. And you have more money now because you've been in this for 2 months and a year. We discount the next year. Instead of $2,500, we go down to $1,000 because now you're more valuable to us. Does that make sense? So the mentorship program is $1,000. It's 2 months where, I mean, I verbally kick your ass. I'm really nice about it, and everybody in the mentorship, everybody who's done it, coaches, it kicks your ass, right? Gets you moving, gets you doing things you've never done before. Everybody in the mentorship program, more successful than when you started, even if the dollar amounts haven't changed. The plan is stronger, yes? Excellent. I love hearing it. I love seeing you guys every week as we're pounding through this. So that is the mentorship. We meet every single Monday at 8. The mastermind is every single month. Last Saturday of the month, we get together for however long it takes. Typically, we're there for about 3 hours, but it could be 4 hours. I'm in a mastermind with Terry and Doug. It's 2 days. We literally will commit every 2 months, 2 entire days to go out and mastermind with each other. Now, the thing is, I paid a lot of money to be in that mastermind. I paid $36,000, $35,000 to be a part of that mastermind. So it's up to you, the room you want to spend your time in, the people you want to hang out with. Does that make sense? And as everybody knows, Coach Terry Wager is a phenomenal asset to us and our community. He's a good friend and a great business owner. And so Generator Coaching, we're thankful to have Terry as a part of everything that we're doing. And he's definitely helped. Who's been coached by Terry? Who's done a one-on-one session with Terry? Excellent. Valuable? Very good. That said, we're going to go to outsourcing. Guess what I just talked about? I've outsourced coaching. I always said it. I said it from the beginning of this business. I will never coach. I don't have the gumption for it. I don't have the ability. I don't have that the stick-to-itiveness to go one-on-one with a person for a long period of time. Does that make sense? So what I decided early in the business is I'll never coach. I won't do it. I will do a one-on-one coaching session one time. Yes, I can do that. I can commit to that. But for the long term that a person requires to get to the next level, man, that's tough for me. Group coaching, things like this, I can do that. It feels good. It feels like we're connecting with a bunch of people and you're in this room with a community. I love community. I love seeing people be successful in a group. One-on-one is super rewarding. Don't get me wrong. One-on-one with somebody is super rewarding. And anybody I've done a one-on-one with, I know where you're at. I know what you're doing. And that motivates me to get to the next level. But to do it with as many people as I want to help, I don't have the time. Does that make sense? So I want to build 100 millionaires. Did you know that the success rate of a millionaire is 1%? That's why they call them the 1%. And so if you start doing the math, I got to get through 10,000 people to hit my goal of 100 millionaires. Yes. So you can see how as I get closer to, and this is part of setting your goals at the beginning of the year, as I get closer to my goal, I start seeing the road I'm on and it changes. And that's why I'm writing the book right now, Real Estate Alchemist. So I decided early in the business, I'm going to outsource coaching. I'm going to outsource it. This is how I can get to the next level, by bringing people smarter than me in specific areas so that they can take our clients to the next level. Does that make sense? I was just talking with my mentorship members about outsourcing in books, in the outsourcing process in writing the book. I've outsourced so many aspects to the book itself. And then once I create the book, once the asset is created, It is an outsourced conversation. Who's read this book? Who's read Broke to $250,000? Yes, yes. The point is not to work, it's to generate income. So I will bust my ass for 2 weeks to write a book. That is an asset that goes out for the rest of my life into other people's hands to make them successful. I've outsourced my introduction to my business. Does that make sense? So when you thought outsourcing, when you saw the title, yes, outsourcing is sending things to the Philippines and India. But outsourcing can be done right here in your own home, in your own community, in your own business. Right now, you can outsource so much that you don't notice. There's so many things that are taking up your time. I was hanging out with my property managers yesterday. 2 of our property managers were hanging out at their house, smoking cigars, talking real estate. And Brandon had one of his landscapers there. He had one of his contractors there. And we were just having the conversation. And for a moment, I had a little lucid moment, right? And I don't think I was drinking at this point. And there was a cigar. And I'm looking around, and I liked every single person at this table. Every single person at the table was a go-getter, and every single person was working on one of my properties. And I looked around, and they know more about my properties than I do. How cool is that? Because it's outsourced. The property manager has outsourced the landscaping. He's outsourced the cleaning of the building. He's outsourced the contractors. I outsourced the building. And so the property manager is now managing the entire process. American employed, right? He's right here in our country, but I outsourced something. Now, there are people who believe it doesn't make sense to outsource. If you know any of those people, you can put your hand up. Anybody who doesn't believe outsourcing makes sense? Uncle Trump, he's like, hey, keep it here in America. Yeah, I get it. I understand. I've paid American employees, and then I've paid people from Uganda, from the Philippines, from India. And the product comes out exactly the same, but the cost of the product significantly different. The speed that the product is turned around, significantly different. The amount of stress that I had with dealing with the person, significantly different. For some reason, the people in our country are not appreciative of work, not the same way that people in a third world country are. Does that make sense? But the crazy part is they're educated the same quality. They have the same quality of education. So we outsource certain things like technical skills. Everybody here has heard of what a virtual assistant is, VA? Excellent. Everybody in the wholesale mastermind knows what a VA is. A lot of you are sending your lists to get skip traced by a VA. So we'll talk about in real estate investing, some of the things we outsource. Is that cool if we keep this focused on real estate? Excellent. It's in line with the book, Real Estate Alchemist, which is coming out August 22nd. I'm hard in the paint right now. I'm going hard in the typing. And it's all about how you can get more from less, how you can get more done, a bigger portfolio, less work in a shorter period of time. The book title is Fast Tracking Retirement. You see me walk around with the REA shirt, Real Estate Alchemist shirt. That is the principle behind this book. And so outsourcing to the Philippines, outsourcing to other areas, at first I have a hard time with it. At first I was like, I don't know if I should do this. And then I just went on Fiverr, ordered something, and it came back in 24 hours. And I thought, wow, I just paid $100 to an artist here, a graphic design artist here, to draw a logo. And it took like 2 weeks. And I was not super happy with the results, although the results were cool. And then we sent it out to the Philippines, and within 24 hours, I had 2 versions of the logo, and I picked one. Way faster. You saw the book. Everybody, who's seen the book cover? The book cover came out, and I put like 7 book covers out. So I just taught Mitch Jorsky how I did this. I went and I found 3 artists in the Philippines, $15, $15, $27. And then I sent out the dollars, and within 3 days, I've got all 7 different designs. 3 artists, 7 designs. Total cost, $57. That makes sense? And then I send it out to my community to say, hey, which one do you guys like? Which do you like? And then the result, I go back and I say, hey, can you fix this? By the way, the $27 person was not the one that won. It ended up being one of the $15 people. So price doesn't matter on Fiverr. It really doesn't matter what you pay as long as the work is done correctly. Is that making sense? Excellent. A lot of times what I find when outsourcing is that it's not, the quality does not always dictate the price. The price does not always dictate quality. They're not always connected. So that's something that we hear here growing up in America, that you get what you pay for. Now, yes, this is true to an extent, but then on another side, you get what you request. You get what you seek. Whatever you ask a person to produce, if they can, they'll say yes. If they can't, they'll say no. But the dollar amount doesn't equate to it. So when you think about spending value and spending money on something, you can't always look at the dollar amount. Does that make sense? So we're going to do an exercise because I love exercise. I think that an exercise is going to add
So
value to your life. Go ahead, Terry.
can I say one thing about what Walter did because it was brilliant and it's really important. And I like so much of what he does because he really thinks about how other people are going to see it rather than himself. And so when he was going through this process with his logos and with his book covers, everything he did, he test marketed it with us in his mastermind and with his group before he ever chose it, because he knows, like I know, that we're going to choose something we like, but that's not necessarily what the public likes. And so go get a group of people who will give you an honest answer about what they like. It was super good. And every time he's done that with his video, his beginning video. He's done it with bumpers. He's done it with his logos. He's done it with his book. And so it's a really good lesson to learn that when you're choosing something for your logo or your whatever you're doing, get some feedback from the people before you choose it, because it's kind of hard mid journey to switch up your whole logo and things. And so it was just fabulous.
Thank you, Terry. That is the truth. So one of the problems, and since we're talking about it, one of the problems that people have early on with outsourcing, especially with asking for permission to do something, asking for an opinion on their business, is they forget that when you outsource, not only do you get more work accomplished by other people so that you can focus on the most important task, you get a better quality of work. And so when I outsource to my community and I say, hey, ladies and gentlemen, what do you think of this book? What do you think the attractive levelness of this book is? I'm not just getting quality information and feedback, I'm building a deeper relationship. And so if you're afraid to tell people about your business and make mistakes and not have that rough opinion of some people, then you're going to miss out on a marketing opportunity. You're going to miss out on a chance to make one more connection, to build a deeper relationship. It's not just the quality of the result you're going to get of having the community tell you exactly what they want. The other side of it is you're letting the community know that you trust their opinion. You're letting your people know that you think and value their response. And so it's multiple pieces. It's marketing. If I just went out and said, hey guys, new book is published, it would not have the same result of talking about it 2 months in advance, slowly streaming out chapter by chapter in the blog, slowly streaming out videos about the content that's coming out, slowly, sneaking in, hey, I'm writing a book right now. This is a couple of the things I'm running into. The other day I did a Facebook live just saying these are a couple of chapters. And then allowing the community to respond back and say, hey, is this going to be in that chapter? Is this going to be in that chapter? And after I received those responses, I was like, oh, hell yeah, it is. But I hadn't thought about it. So thank you.
Well, the other thing that it's really key and it's brilliant, is getting them to buy in before they have it, because they're making their opinion known. And the biggest piece for me is that we choose what we like, and it might not be a winner. And so if you use that smaller group, that's not all of everybody, but it's a good group that is, 30 or so people, that's a good test for the huge market. And so you get the feedback. He did polls. And so which one likes which? And so you have two or three choices, and what he'd do is he'd do two or three choices, and then after he got those, then he could do two or three more choices based on um, the breakdown, and then he chose based on us instead of what he wanted. And because, I mean, I know for me, I'm going to choose something and not everybody's going to like it. I love it, but it's disconnect because I had my heart in it or something. And so when the people choose it, I don't have to have my heart in it. They just choose it, and the general public will do exactly like the 30. It happens every time. That's what small group polling is all about, is to find out what the greater market is going to do. And so he's just using that really well to basically take his own ego out of it, so he gets a real good product that's going to sell and going to really reflect what the market bears.
Very true. Very true. You guys getting value out of this so far? Is this something you can implement in your business? Go ahead, Mitch.
I wanted to add to it because I mean, essentially what you guys are talking about, and I think everyone's grasping it, is like your beta testing is essentially what you're doing. And this you can extrapolate this on so many things. Like anyone that's ever run a Facebook ad campaign, this is exactly what you do. You run a campaign with 3 different ads minimum, and then you see what gets the best hit rate, and then you go with that when you turn it up. And you know, you can use this for the people out there wholesaling, using VAs calling. You don't just find one VA to start calling. You find 3. You break up the list, and then you see who gives you the best results, and then you stick with the one that is getting the job done. So this could be used in so many different facets, and it's a quicker way to get to your goal. Just like Galter was talking about, even with like, you know, the book and design covers, using 3 different designers instead of just using one. And then he puts those out for you guys to say, all right, what do you like best? And as Terry was talking about, that whole thing with what I like best might not be the best option. This holds true so often. This is something personally I've experienced, because I know with a lot of stuff, like I'm not the target market. So I know that I can't use my opinion. I need to get out and get the wisdom of the crowd, just like Terry was talking about. So it's like you said, you can't take it personal, and you got to continue to beta test and then let the crowd give you the answer.
Mitch Jorsky, everybody, author of the book, Scaredy Cat Guide to Investing in Rental Properties. Give him a round of applause. Appreciate both you guys. Thank you, Terry. Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you.
So we've talked enough about books and being authors. Who here knows one day they want to be an author? Who here knows they got something in them that could be written down that could save or help a lot of people's lives, make them better? Yes? Excellent. So it's your ethical duty to write a book. Definitely. Yeah, 10X the books. So make sure that you become successful enough in that area where you can write a book. It makes it a lot easier. So when we talk about outsourcing and we talk about, you know, social media, there are so many pieces in your business right now that you could outsource. Who knows that they want more deals? Who wants to buy a property right now? Wants to buy a piece of real estate? Yes. Who has not yet done it? Who is still waiting to buy that first piece of real estate? Excellent. Give yourselves a round of applause, because it is difficult to say that in a room full of investors. Yes. You are what my first mentor called, you're an investor, whether you own it or not. You are an investor because you're thinking with the investment mindset. You're looking at assets. You're looking at building your net worth. You're looking at working less, earning more, putting dollars to work. As Wallace D. Waddle says in the book, Science of Getting Rich, he says, you want to marshal your army of dollars out there and have them go and conquer and conquest. And so that is the investor mindset. The investor is focused on the future, long-term goals, and not so much on the immediate gratification. We're focused on, maybe we do have to build assets, right? A book is an asset for somebody who's looking to build a massive company. A property is an asset for somebody who's looking to build massive wealth. Right now in the state of Massachusetts, if you bought a 3-family house in Boston 10 years ago, you are a millionaire. Does this make sense?
Yes.
We understand that. The math is simple. If you are like myself and you bought 5, I could have done it with 4. If you bought 4 3-family houses back in 2012, I am a millionaire. Does that make sense? Now, obviously, I've bought far more than that, and so I'm a multimillionaire. But all I had to do was buy a house a year for 5 years and wait another 5 years, and there's millionaire status. Does that make sense? So when I say I'm building 100 millionaires, what I'm talking about is not a really complex process. The difficulty comes in with keeping people going through the process, keeping investors focused on the goal, because the road can be a little bumpy. Fair to say? We're understood that it could be a little bumpy. Well, last night I was sitting there with a bunch of investors. Some own as much real estate as me, some very close. And we were hanging out in the room. A gentleman who has not yet bought his first property was hanging out with us. And he said, I was intimidated to come out and hang out with you guys. And I'm thinking, we're all wearing t-shirts and jeans. Like, we're normal like anybody else. You know, the only jewelry I have probably cost me $15. And you can't buy this, right? You can't buy the I Am an Alchemist band. You have to go to one of my events to actually get that. And so I'm wearing no jewelry. I'm like, dude, like, I'm normal like you. I'm drinking the same Bud Light everybody else could be drinking. In fact, you're drinking a more expensive drink than I am right now. And so, and the cigars, I got at a deal, right? I got it from my buddy at a discount. And so he said, I was intimidated to be hanging out with you guys. And I was like, well, I mean, what better room to hang out? There's 4 millionaires sitting right here at the table, and you have our undivided attention. You asked us the most powerful question that somebody could ask in your state. I said, good job, man. And you know what the question was? And I went Facebook Live with it last night. He asked, should I buy a 3-family house before I buy a single family house? And the answer was obviously buy the multifamily first, owner occupied, move into it, 3% down. And there was one of the great parts was there's a very intelligent guy in the financial sector there with us. And he said, before I answered, he jumped in and he put his answer out there. And he's like, well, you know, you want to get the multifamily first, but it's going to be 20% down. And I was like, hold on, before I put any more poison out there, let's not scare this guy. It's 3.5%. And if you served our country and are a veteran, it's 0%. It's the goose egg. On your first property, you're going in with almost nothing. And so it's very clear that you want to spend it on an investment property, because that investment property allows you to save the 3% to move into the next property the next year. And so it makes far more sense. Whereas if you buy a single family first, then you have to put 20% down when you go to buy your investment property. And it could take you much longer to save, because not only did you buy a single family and it's not paying you monthly, and you can't use the 3.5% down anymore, it's also costing you money. And you don't have the tenants, or as I refer to them as the employees, the partners, the virtual assistants, the outsourced forms of money, the people who are out there going and collecting and bringing money back and saying, you can have some because you give me a place to live, I'll keep the rest. I typically keep about 40% of their income. Does that make sense? You right now, think about what you pay for your housing. You're paying about 40% of your income. 30 to 40% is the amount that an American pays for their roof over their head. And so when we looked at the most valuable business you could be in, what people pay the most for, you could think, oh, well, they pay a lot for their cell phone bill. They pay a lot for their cable. They pay a lot for this or that. But if you're honest with yourself, they pay the most for the roof over their head. We agree? Think about your monthly bills. Biggest one, roof over the head. And so we're in the right business. And so that's why I'm going to talk about real estate and outsourcing in real estate. There are things that we do in real estate that we outsource that put us way further ahead from our replacements. And I refer to everybody in the industry as a replacement for the work that I don't want to do anymore. They're not our competition. They're simply people I can outsource. Does that make sense? Other realtors, other property managers, other investors, other landlords, anybody who's other trainers, other coaches, right? They're not competitors. They're people we can learn from. They're people we can invest with. They're people we can create business partnerships with, affiliate market with. And so write this down. Everybody's on my team. Write this sentence down. Everyone is on my team. And I remember I was in a room full of realtors, and I was with one of my mentors who's an attorney. And he was actually one of the first people who lent me money back when I did my first flip. And I said, yeah, you know, I look around this room and he was like, oh, so, you know, it's sometimes tough for you guys to be in a room full of realtors. And I was like, well, you know, I just look around, every single one of these guys is one of my employees. And he's like, you know what? I get where you're going with that, but what would sound nicer is partner. I said, everybody in this room is potentially a partner that you could partner up on a deal with. And so everyone in my industry is a partner. Write that down. Everyone in my industry is a partner. And so in real estate, you can do, there's a saying Ron and I talk about all the time. One of my mentors, he likes to say, he's like, everybody's fighting over a slice of the pie, slice of the pie, slice of the pie, small slice. He's like, I want the table talk pie. You know, it's a little smaller, but it's all mine. Well, to get to the next level, Ron talks about the fact that the whole world is a kitchen. You taste that little slice, you get your table talk. But if you go and you know what you're looking for, you can create your own pie. The whole world is a kitchen, you can create your own pie. And the people who are trying the little slivers, they have a place in the marketplace. They do. The people who have their table talks, they have a place in the marketplace. But when you really think about what you're capable of and you know what you want, you can go and make a pie that's twice the size of everybody else's. And everybody's going to want a piece of the pie. And it's okay to serve some pie. Does that make sense?
Pie is good.
Pie is good. All right, excellent. So one of the first things we outsource, I outsource the stuff I don't like. I am a speaker. I am a salesperson. I am a negotiator. I'm a conversationalist. Ron is a computer guy. Ron is a give me systems, give me email, give me research, but do not put me in front of somebody. Do not put me on the phone. Do not put me in a negotiation situation. This making sense? So what Ron and I did when we formed our partnership was we outsourced the things we don't like. I said, dude, I never want to do this again. All yours. And he said, I never even want to try what you're doing. You can have more of that. And so by splitting up, we don't get 1 + 1, which equals 2. If you've ever read the book, The 7 Principles of Highly Effective People, we get 11. It's something called synergy. So the two of us producing together have a multi-million-dollar business. But before I partnered up with Ron, this was my first form of outsourcing. It truly was. Before I partnered up with Ron, I had a $500,000 business. It was, my net worth is $500,000 at best. And so it was the partnership that got us way past that. That making sense? So outsourcing some things. In fact, actually, no, maybe my first outsourcing was I brought in real estate agents. And Ron was one of my first real estate agents. So I think it still goes back to that. And I was doing 22 deals a year, and it was enough to make about $110,000. And I was like, you know what? I'm kind of done with this. I don't want to work in this arena. It's not big enough for me. And so pulled back, brought in real estate agents. Real estate agents are a great source for you as an investor to have somebody else do all the paperwork, have all the conversations, do all of the dirty work, the going out on appointments and checking out a property and sending you pictures instead of you physically going out and looking at it. Having an inspector go out and do all of those pieces to buy a property. We have now agents that go out and do it for us. And so that was one of the first steps to outsourcing, was getting a real estate agent. Does that make sense? Even though they're an American paid employee, right? Outsourcing is not all about using the Philippines and the VAs, but we are going to move into them because they are a key part of this industry. And I appreciate that everybody on our mastermind, wholesale mastermind, knows how to use a VA the right way and isn't abusing the power of the virtual assistant or underutilizing it. So the agents are the first outsourcing piece. Your next outsourcing piece is a company that will send out mailers for you. Last night I was hanging out with the guys, and they were telling me how Kevin Tevs was telling me how his son is writing out 20 pieces of mail a day. And I looked at him and I questioned, why is your son doing that? And he's like, oh, well, it's, marketing gets in front of the sellers. And I was like, no, I get that part. Why is your son only writing 20 a day? And he was like, oh, well, he's not really that motivated. I was like, no, it's not about motivation. Oh, I'm sorry. Let me restart this. There's a company that you can hand money to and hand addresses to, and they will design, they will print, they will mail, all scale. You could send out 100 mailers, you could send out 1,000 mailers, send out 10,000 mailers, does not matter. They will send it for you on a schedule. So instead of hitting them, because I just also, how many times are you sending out a mailer to these people? He said, oh, if you send the one, you got to hit them 6 times. And so the scale of that work is extreme. And yes, it seems like a lot unless you're outsourcing. And so the next person I outsourced was my marketing. I went and I paid a company called Postcard Mania, and I do like yellow letters much more, but I paid a company called Postcard Mania to start sending out mailers. And the mailers would go out and they had a phone number, and everybody last night was making fun of all the phone numbers I have. Who here has been texted from me by like 4 or 5 different numbers? Yes. All right. I thank you for understanding there are some systems that I use that are easier to text from while I'm in that system. And then there are other systems that I use that are easier to text from while I'm in that system. And I don't like switching back and forth because of the multiple conversations I'm having at any given time. And so I appreciate your understanding with the multiple texts. I had a text number that went to a program called CallRail, which allows me to have multiple phone numbers. And CallRail then went to one of my agents. So the mailers go out, goes to an agent. See how I'm pulled out of the system? Yes, outsourcing. And so I was spending thousands of dollars on marketing, bringing in thousands of dollars in commissions from the team going out and operating. And then I'd get a deal, and then I'd get a deal, and then I'd get a deal. And the machine was the agent's commissions were actually paying for the referral fees I was getting from agents were actually paying for the marketing. So it was almost a net negative on the commission side, but it was the deals I was going after. It was a $50,000 flip. It was a $200,000-$300,000 equity position in property I could pick up that year. And so that was the whole point, was outsourcing. And yes, maybe it breaks even because of the cost of marketing and the cost of the referral fee instead of me taking the agency as myself, right? Instead of making $4,000, now I'm making $2,000. But I didn't have to leave my house. I could focus on the important stuff as the investor, building more systems. Is this making sense? Excellent. Excellent. So agent, get an agent, put them to work. Make sure they're an investor agent. Talk to Dorina. If you want a good investor agent in your market, if you're in Massachusetts, if you're in Rhode Island, we have that network built already. If you're in Florida, we have that network built already. So if you're looking in, even if California or Texas, we have those networks built where if you're looking for an investor agent, you're looking to buy in your market, we have agents who will go on those appointments for you. Is that cool that we offer that service? Is it cool that I get paid 10% on everything I send out? And then the team gets paid whatever they get paid, and then the agent gets paid whatever they get paid, but I'm getting 10% on top of everything because I made that connection. Isn't that cool? Thank you. I appreciate you don't mind paying me for value added. I like that. And so the agents go out and the marketing goes out. I don't make any money on the marketing. I haven't figured that piece out yet. There's probably an affiliate link that I should be signing up for that will allow me to do that, but it's coming, guaranteed. So you send out the marketing, it's going. There's a piece now that you could do even more with that same list of people. You just go to a virtual assistant. Dorina has the link to the guy that we've negotiated with. So normally they charge 5 to 7 cents per address to get the phone numbers. But Dorina's got a guy that it wasn't me. She negotiated on our behalf 4 cents per lead. Is that right, Dorina? 4 cents per lead. And so she has somebody in the Philippines or India, and he will actually go line by line, find the person's name, their address, and then go and find all the phone numbers associated to that person. Put it into a list, and then send it back to you. This list could be 10, it could be 100, it could be 1,000. I sent over 1,000 number list, all the multifamilies in Fall River. I got your phone number. That's right. And I can call you. I can email. I got your emails too because I paid that little extra buck for the emails. And so now I have this massive tool. You have a tool, the ability to create a tool that could reach out to everybody. Now, have you ever tried calling 7,000 people? Anybody? Oh, okay. Mario has. All right. We got some of our wholesaler, our mastermind folks on here. So yes, it is possible to call that many people, but you can't do it using just this basic rinky-dink phone that they give you, right? This little smartphone is capable of far more than just one dial at a time. We use a program called Call Tools or Mojo Dialer that calls 100 to 150 people in an hour. And it's got 3 dialers or 10 dialers. It'll dial consistently multiple lines all at once. And then whoever picks up drops over to you and everybody else gets a voicemail. And so you're able to dial far more people and be more productive. Does this sound like something that would really speed up the finding deals piece of your business? Excellent. It works very, very well. I find every 2 hours or every 200 contacts, we book an appointment. Now, every appointment we go on, we close 1 out of 10 as a wholesale deal or a flip, and 1 out of 3 as an agent. So if you're not licensed as an agent, you're missing out on a piece of the business. Now, yes, I did say outsource the agency, but I'm also saying get your license so that you can get paid a referral fee for outsourcing your agency. Does that make sense? So fun fact, any wholesaler, anybody ever who's an investor who's looking to get a referral fee from sending somebody to an agent, you can't get paid. It's illegal unless you're federally licensed as an agent, in which case then we can gladly pay you, and we pay you 25%. That's standard. So you just got to make sure you got your license. We get that? So as part of the progression, first you're getting agents. You're not making anything off of working with them other than they're going on your appointments for free. And then eventually, as you become more of an influence in your community, people will start asking you for who your agent is. You want to get paid to send that person some business, and they will gladly pay you. We love paying referral fees. So you've got your numbers now, and you've been able to dial, right? So 7,000 numbers is 70 hours on the dialer consistent. That's about a week, 2 weeks worth of work. You can do it yourself, or you can go back to a virtual assistant and have a virtual assistant go and dial for you. You're going to pay somewhere between $4 to $7 an hour. And if they can get through the whole list, very good. Like Mitch was saying earlier, you want to make sure that the dialers are very good at dialing. So we interview a lot of people. We find out what their experience level is, how quickly they communicate, how quickly they can handle objections. And if they can handle questions and objections pretty quickly in a conversation, I never interview a caller via text message or email. I interview a caller via the phone. We call. I don't want to see their face. I want to hear their responses because they're a caller. Does that make sense? It's good information so far. Excellent. So you're outsourcing calling. You can do it locally. We do it a lot locally. We outsource our calling with our wholesalers. We pay them a lot more than we would pay somebody if there was a VA just working hourly. Our wholesalers typically get a chunk of the deal itself. And so that piece ends up being given to the wholesaler, so you don't pay it up front, but you'll pay it later on. This is part of partnering with people. It's okay to pay people what they're worth if they brought you the deal. Wholesalers are a nice way to outsource cold calling. They're a great way to outsource mailing. They're a great way to outsource texting, emails. They're knowledgeable. Typically, a wholesaler has read all the books on wholesaling. Any wholesalers in the room? Where are my wholesalers at? You've read, you've researched, you've done a lot of information digging. You know the processes. You're willing to cold call. You're willing to grind because you know on the other end of that, there's a good reward. There's a paycheck waiting for you. And so it's okay to outsource and pay them, just like the agents. You know, you're going to pay the agent something when you work with an agent. You're going to pay a wholesaler something when you close a deal. There is the other side of outsourcing, which is the money. OPM. Who's heard OPM? What does it mean? I see the lips moving. Other people's money. There you go. I almost got it, Brian. What Dr. Terry Wager said, other people's money. We're outsourcing money. How crazy is that? You can outsource money. You outsource it to the bank. You outsource to private money lenders. I'm writing in the book right now a whole chapter called Get the Money. Who's heard of my Get the Money course before? Who hasn't had time to get out to one of my live events and watch Get the Money and experience Get the Money? Yes, a lot of people. So I'm writing it in the book. And yes, there'll be an audio version of the book. I'll put that out so everybody can listen to it while they're driving. And so Get the Money is all about how to outsource the money piece, how to get other people to bring you the money, how to become reputable, how to make sure that you're aware of the right ways to finance. And then the last chapter of the book is when you finally get to be outsourced yourself. There's only one thing you want to be the outsourcee to, as being the bank. We know the bank makes the most money at every deal. Yes, they do. If you ever look at your mortgage statement and you look at your amortization schedule and you look at, okay, I paid $300,000 for the house, but I'm paying the bank $750,000 over the next 30 years. That's insane, but that's what the bank gets. And so if you look at the buildings in your city, there's two buildings that'll always stand out. It's the church and the bank. You walk inside, you know which one you're in, right? They both have granite on the walls, marble and granite lined walls. The church does very well, and so does the bank because of a very similar model. Every week, they suggest that you put money into their organization, and every day that you put money into their organization, they take it and they put it in the stock market and reinvest it. Does that make sense? So there is a process that you eventually want to lead up to, and you want to outsource your money, put those dollars to work in other people's projects so they're bringing you more money without you putting any effort in. So the bank is the ultimate goal, and that's why it's the last chapter in the book, to be the bank. Because in order to be the bank, you got to get some cash first. Does that make sense? Excellent. Seller financing is something that we enjoy doing. Seller financing is something that you do it when you have a property that you have a high equity position in. And a lot of our properties don't have a full equity position, but we've got 60% equity. We could finance 40% of the deal, 20% of the deal. That's something Ron and I are looking to do. We're looking to sell some of our properties. Right now we have condos that we're looking to sell. We're selling them on the market at present at $106, $106,000, $118,000. And we're looking to offload 3 to 5 of these at 80,000. There's nothing wrong with these units. These are the exact units we're getting rid of. But it's because Ron and I are buying 14 more units. And so to sell 3 at a discount to buy 14 makes financial sense, right? So you can see how even a savvy investor like me could sell something at a discount. Yes? Excellent. So if anybody's interested in buying 3 to 5 condos at 80,000 a piece, let me know. Let Dorina know, because I outsource. Let Dorina know so that she can evaluate and make sure that you guys get into the condos. She'll be doing some showings, I believe today, right? Dorina, you showing the building today? What time? You're muted. 1 o'clock? Yes. 1 o'clock, 260 Fountain Street, unit D4? D4. So we own 23 condos in this building, and we're selling a couple of them because we're just looking to 1031 exchange the money. Tax-free, roll it into other property, bigger properties. And so we did the math, and we said, how do we get that cash faster? Because we can borrow it. We've got plenty of guys who want to lend us money at 10 and 12%. But as you can imagine, 10 and 12% adds up over time, and we'd like to sell some condos. And if I paid taxes on the condos, it's the discount I'm giving you. Does that make sense? So either way, the money would be the same. But by selling it at a discount, moving it quickly, we do a 1031, we move into it. Outsourcing our problem, outsourcing some of our situation to other people who want an opportunity. Everything that you're doing, the person you outsource to wants it. Does that make sense? They want to do what you don't want to do. I haven't cut grass in 4 years. I was hanging out with a landscaper yesterday, and he was like, hey, you doing showings Saturdays? If you let me know on your properties that you're doing open houses on, I could just cut the grass the day before so it's super fresh. He's excited to make my business better. And I'm like, dude, like, here's another cigar. High five. Like, you're awesome. Thank you so much for improving my business. Going above and beyond, I have a virtual assistant who types in all of the descriptions on my YouTube channel. If you go to my YouTube channel, it's GualterMorello.com. GualterMorello-Real Estate Mentor. And all of the podcast episodes that I've done with other millionaires, multimillionaires across the country, he has typed in the descriptions exactly what we talk about in that conversation. And at the very bottom, if you don't want to watch the video, at the bottom, he has the 3 pieces of advice I asked from that very wealthy or intelligent person. Because at the end of every episode, I ask, hey, what are the 3 pieces of advice you go back and give yourself if you're 20 years old? What advice would you give? And I've outsourced this to a friend of mine now, right? His name's Sam. He lives in Uganda. And he and I have a conversation at least once a week. And it's always, man, I was thinking we could do this. And I'm like, Sam, yeah, line it up, bro. Like, that sounds like a phenomenal idea. I don't know how to do it. The keywords, Google AdWords, everybody in the mentorship program, we were talking about it earlier. He told me about those. I mean, I knew about them, but I had forgotten. He now puts into my blog post the SEO, the search engine optimization, from the top keywords that other people are searching on Google. It was his idea. He's an admin in another country, but believes in our mission, believes in what we're doing. And he also believes that he could be one of our 100 millionaires. How cool is that? Ah, we just lost. Oh, there he goes. Okay. Well, we'll see you later, Ryan. Appreciate you, brother. So it's outsourcing is something you're going to start doing now, right? This is something that you can see something in your life that you can outsource. So I told you we're going to do a written exercise. Let's do a written exercise right now before we jump into questions. What is one thing that you don't like doing right now in your business? One thing, the thing that you hate the absolute most. For me as an agent, it used to be the paperwork. When I was an agent, I used to hate writing up purchase and sales, writing up offer forms. Yeah, Brett Reed is saying, yep, I know what you mean. It's the agency disclosure form, just getting people to sign shit. I was like, oh, I don't want to do it. Like, I don't want to sit in front of my computer for 10 minutes and send this over to you and type up, or put listings in. A listing takes like 25 minutes to enter in MLS because MLS just is a terrible program, right, Brett? Dorina? Excellent. So that for me was something outsourced early on. What is something that you don't like in your business right now? Write it down. And who is somebody who would be willing to do it? Now, if you first say nobody wants to do this, give it a second. Give it a second because somebody wants to do it. There's somebody out there who wants to do the things you don't want to do. Now, who would it be? And you can put them in the chat. Yeah, absolutely. If you're having a hard time with this, put it in the chat. Gathering raw data. Good point, Chris. Virtual assistant for that. Go on Fiverr, request it. They're out there. Absolutely. If you're looking for aggregate information about sellers, where the sellers are, what, how old they are, how long they've been in a property, how much equity they have in their property, you can get that right on listsource.com. Listsource.com. You can find all of the information about a seller's or a zip code or a community. Yeah, thank you, Robert. So there's tools out there right now to help you do the things you don't like. What's something else? What's another one that is a task you don't like? Task you just can't stand. Now, on the other side of that task, write down the person that you could hire to do it. Maybe they're hourly, maybe they're commission-based, maybe they're love-based, right? Family-based, who lives in your family and is part of the community. And maybe they're a business partner, right? Sometimes me and Ron outsource to each other. In fact, he got a phone number. This is so funny. So I'm at the cigar shop yesterday, picking up the cigars, and one of my attorneys is sitting there, and I asked him, I was like, how's everything going? He says, hey, I sent a guy, over to you. Actually, I asked him about the guy, and I was like, hey, did you get this guy's contact over to us? Did you talk to him? He's like, yeah, I sent it over to Ron. I was like, oh yeah, you sent it to the wrong one. I totally get what you're thinking. I told him, I guarantee you Ron got that number and is like, that's not me. Why are you sending this to me? And sat on it, right? So I was like, well, I'll double check to make sure I sent it. So later on in the night, I'm hanging out with Ron at the cigar event. And he says, yeah, I got that phone number. I don't know why he sent it to me, but I'll send it over to you so you can make that phone call. Somebody sent him the right information for us, but to the wrong part of the world. Does that make sense? Ron doesn't make phone calls. Ron, once I build the relationship with somebody and it's established and I introduce to Ron, done. I never have to talk to that person again. Ron's got it locked down. But until that initial contact has been made, no communication will come out of Ron. Does that make sense? It's the weirdest thing. But we've identified our weaknesses right down to the details, right down to, look, I don't want to make initial contact. But after that, I'll make all the contacts. And for me, I'm like, dude, I never want to make all the contacts, but initial contact, that sounds like fun. Setting up the context of the relationship, setting up, hey, what do you have? This is what we have. That's the best part. It's negotiations. It's sales. What can you do for me? What can I do for you? Excellent. Here's the guy who services that piece of the business. Does that make sense? Excellent. I love it. Who here wants to buy more real estate? Hands up if you want to buy more real estate. Who wants to buy more real estate this year still? Haven't bought everything that you want. Excellent. If you haven't bought everything that you want, it's because you're not working with the right agent. I say that completely unbiased, completely unabashed. I say it because I am a real estate agent, realtor, somebody who has a team. I have 2 people on this call that I send all of my business to. Brett Reed in Rhode Island and Darina in Massachusetts, because they're investor agents. Brett owns 2 multifamilies, right, Brett? You own 2? Darina owns 3. And so catch up, Brett, catch up. You're doing really good, bro. And I send all of my business to them. I have a conversation with the first person. It's usually via text. I say, hey, what are you looking for? Where are you at? And then as soon as I identify where you're at, I send it to the agent and I say, get them either the money or the deal. There's no reason not to buy a house, not to put something under agreement in the next 2 weeks. I don't care what your financial situation is. I don't care what your family situation is. If I decide I'm buying something, there's nothing gonna stop me from putting offers in the next 2 weeks. A few weeks ago, my credit score was 546. 546. Right now, it's at 680, and probably by the end of next month, I'll be back up to 740, 780. There are ways to do absolutely everything if you want it bad enough. Does that make sense? So don't tell me credit score is an issue. I know how to fix credit score. I got lenders who know how to fix credit scores. No reputation in the business, that's not an issue either. When I didn't have a reputation, when Ron didn't have a reputation, he brought me in. He brought me in as a key principal. We partnered up. We did a deal together. When I had no money and no reputation, I went to an attorney who knew I was a closer, who knew that I owned rental property, and we did our first flip together. He partnered with me. Does that make sense? I brought no money to the table because I didn't have any money. Even the down payment on the property was a down payment that one of my best friends put down because she was going to buy the property. And then she backed out because she couldn't get the financing. And I accidentally found the financing. Offered her the chance to come into the deal. She said, no, I don't want to be in the deal. Just give me my money back when you close. And when I did close, I threw her not just the $5,000 she put down, I threw her an extra $5,000 because I wouldn't have had the opportunity without her. Does that make sense? Paid for the contract. My friend made $29,000. I made $32,000. Does that make sense? So and this happened in a 2-week period after I just bought 3 houses and had no money to buy more property. We're getting this? Excellent. So if you're not buying a house, putting something under agreement in the next 2 weeks, it's not because you don't have the money or you don't have the credit. It's because you don't want it bad enough. You haven't sent me a message. You haven't asked how to do it. Does that make sense? Yes? I've bought houses with 16% interest. I bought houses with 16% interest, flipped the house, or refinanced the property. But either way, I got in, I got money. The building I spent 16% interest on, $40,000 profit. Never paid a mortgage payment out of my own pocket. My tenants paid for it. Does that make sense? It's a good game. It's a very good game. There's a right way to play. And yes, it's a dangerous game if you don't have the right mentors, you don't have the right team around you. I'm in this for the long term. I'm building millionaires. I don't have time for mistakes. I don't have time for people to not listen to the things that we're giving them for advice. I don't have time for failure. All I have is, where are you at? This is what you need to do. Do it. Does that make sense? So the mentorship program is based on that. The mentorship program is 100% about moving you forward, turning you into a millionaire. It takes 3 to 5 years. I want to be very clear. The mentorship is only 2 months. It is 2 months. It's for me to form you, get into your mind the information the information that you require to move forward, the habits, the things that you have to do every day that will compound to become somebody who has assets that can actually create and accomplish and do things. Does that sound like something you'd be interested in? It's $1,000. It's a big investment for somebody who doesn't believe in themselves. It's a small investment if somebody knows that they're going to crush it. It's a small investment for somebody who knows they're going to be worth $1 million in 3 to 5 years. I know. The first coach I paid was $10,000. Now I didn't have the $10,000. I put on a credit card. And so when I say our programs are as inexpensive as we can possibly make them, it's because it's not about the money. It's about building 100 millionaires. And the 100 millionaires, oh, that's about the money. Because I would much rather work with rich people than people who can't afford $1,000. Does that make sense? Yes. Because the things they buy are way cooler. The things millionaires buy are big buildings, right? My millionaire friends last night were talking about, how do we take down 100 units? How do we take down 200 unit complexes? And we're humble enough to say, look, I'm not doing that alone. Like, I'll go in with you. You know, I'll put up my knowledge or my money, my expertise, and let's go do this. We'll partner up. So partnering is way more fun when you all got money. Yes. Has anybody ever split the bill with their friends after a party, after a dinner? You all hanging out at the dinner and everybody had the money, not the other ones, right? I'm not talking about those friends. I'm talking about everybody had the money to pay the tab and everybody was like, split the bill. Fuck it. I'm here with friends. This is good stuff. And it felt good. Yes. Well, that's because you're not millionaires. When you get to millionaire status, you're not flipping the bill at Applebee's, right? You're flipping the bill on a fucking 1,000-unit building and you're saying, yeah, I'm all in, bro. This is a good one. I feel like this is going to be really good for us. We're all going to make a couple $100,000 this year from this deal. Let me invest. Let me make some phone calls and bring my people in on this. So it's not about making money today, right? I'm an investor. I'm making money in the future. I'm willing to put 3 to 5 years into you so that 3 to 5 years from now, we can put it into something big, worth doing. Is that cool? So 100 millionaires, I promise, any money that we take from this education company just allows us to go and market better to find the rest of the 100 millionaires. I told you it's a 1% chance that a person will become a millionaire. It's a 1% chance, 1 out of 100. And so if you're already in this room, you've already gone through a couple of filters. So your chances are way higher. So this filter is you dedicate on a Saturday morning. So I wiped out a lot of people who are not willing to commit on Saturday morning. Yes, fair to say. The principles are titled Wealth Principles, 52 Millionaire Wealth Principles. 52 is already a big number. It inclines, it implies commitment for a year. And so 52 weeks implies commitment for a year. It attracts a certain type of person, it attracts the investor mindset, it attracts somebody who's looking to become more. The fact that the title millionaire is in there, that wipes out a whole bunch of people. There's a lot of people who say, yeah, I'm not interested in getting rich. I just want to be comfortable. Who's heard those people? Yeah, we know a few. And so it's getting past all of that. This is a higher quality room. The percentages have gotten higher. And I think it's higher than 10%. And I know once you've gotten into the mentorship program that it goes up to 50%. We've seen it. The people who've gone through the mentorship program, we know they're a higher caliber client. Does that make sense? You can see how that would be a reality. Yes. Excellent. So if you're interested in the mentorship, cool. I'm interested in working with you. If you're not, cool. Come back next week. Next week is going to be study the people and businesses that are performing the way you want your business to perform. And the book of the week will be Tribe of Mentors. This week, the book of the week was A Whole New Mind. If you're reading the 52 books with us, if you're reading a book a week, hitting the 52 books in a year, then this is the next book to read. We encourage you to join us on the journey. It's very valuable to you. You're going to make a lot of money. It's kind of a side effect of getting knowledge and taking action. By the way, action is the only way to get rich, but it has to be right action. And knowledge without action is useless. It's why even learn something if you're not going to do something with it. Fair to say? Excellent. Well, thank you so much for hanging out with us. If you're interested in the mentorship program, you know how to find it, waltermurillo.com/mentor. And if you're looking for some questions, you got some questions about your business, now is the time to ask. Let's open the lines and start asking some questions. Coaches, any comments on outsourcing? What do you guys think? What is something that you're finding a lot of our students could outsource quickly, implement in their business now?
Well, one of the things that I think, talking to a few of them, is getting their lists and doing the cold calling is really important. Warm calls, they do.